Hello guys, welcome back. So it's another video where we're just going to talk about the reality of business. So when we were younger, of course, when we were first starting out in business, you see a lot of videos of people talk about, I do work, I put in, deep focused 4 hours of work in the morning, or I have a 16-hour work day, or even just simply the phrase, I work on my business. Now, for me, I knew I wanted to put the work in, but I didn't know what the work actually was. So the point of this video is, number one, we're going to define what the work actually is and how you should identify what the work is for what you want to do. And secondly, we're going to define how to do the work. So what it is and how to do it. So that's the goal for today. We're going to keep it quite short to make sure that it's still informative. And yeah, that's mainly it. Tune in for the video and hopefully you take some notes. Hopefully we can make it make sense in your head, and then moving forward, you can know how to actually operate to be effective.
Amazing. So the first thing I want to speak about is how to do the work, but not in the term like how to actually physically sit down and do it, but how to do it for long. That's the first thing I want to speak about. First thing you need to do, and this is a must, is you need to know yourself. You have to know yourself, purely because a lot of the content like online, they speak about they do 20-hour work days, they wake up at 4 a.m, they do this, they do that. Like, you need to know yourself, because if you don't know how you work best or when you work best, that's something you have to find out, because when you know that, you can just get started straight away and you can keep going for a long time as well. If you know you're a person who likes to do work in the morning but doesn't like to wake up early for it, for example, like you set your alarm 8 o'clock and you start work at 10, and you know you can work from 10 till 3, no problem at all, you're completely fine with that. Just work like that, because that's exactly how you're going to stay in the game. The only time that your chance of success becomes 0% is when you quit. So the main thing you need to do is you need to know yourself, so you can basically schedule your day that you can work the same amount for as long as possible, for as many days as possible. Because you might be able to work 20 hours one day, wake up really early for that day, have coffee, whatever, Red Bull. But if you can't do that if you can't see yourself doing that for like a year or 2 years, then there's no point of doing it at all. You're gonna do it for like a week and then quit. Like, just be honest with yourself. Consistency is a lot better than intensity. You need to see yourself doing this same thing and this same schedule for as long as possible. And if you see yourself being able to do that, then you're doing the right thing, because everyone is different. Like, you may be a better worker in the night, which means that it'd be a bit silly for you to wake up early in the morning and get your work done. Like, you have to know yourself, so you know exactly what works for you, okay? And because again, you need to keep yourself in the game. And the way you do that is by finding the best way to work so you can work for long. And number two, rewarding your inputs. If you don't reward your inputs and you don't realize that what you're doing is actually getting you steps closer towards your goals, then you're not gonna like yourself for it, sort of thing, right? So you need to make sure you recognize the inputs that you're doing and you actually reward yourself for it, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you motivated and keep you going, keep you pushing forward, and keep you actually in the game. That's the main point when it comes to consistency. You need to stay in the game. You need to realistically create your day so that you can stay in the game without it being too much without like just basically ripping yourself in half. Like, make sure you're as efficient as possible, because you need to, without being efficient, you're going to end up working way too hard for way too long for little result. When you're efficient and you know how to make your day so you work as little as possible to achieve as much as possible, that's when the real magic happens and the real success sort of goes. And he's going to go more into that right now, pretty much.
Okay, so he broke down very well there how you should do it. So the answer to the question is, there are many ways to skin a cat, and you should get your work in and get your work done in the exact way that you want to do it. It's the same. People like to pretend that business isn't the same as everything else, and when you think that way, that's when it becomes difficult. Just imagine it's the same as everything, right? When you were in school and you were studying, you did it a certain way which worked for you, and that got you your results, right? When you go to the gym, it's exactly the same. You don't do the same exact workouts as everybody else, right? I'm sure you do. If you're a beginner, you probably do, because you need to learn something. But as you get better and as you actually learn how to go to the gym, what you'll learn is that you train differently to everyone. Everyone's got different endurance, power. Everyone's got different attributes, which you will then train to basically supplement. Like, everything is customized, basically. It's entirely the same with how you work. So what you should be doing should be defined by your goals, right? So that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to speak about what should you actually be doing. So when we say do 4 hours of deep focus work in the morning, what does that actually mean? So when you're starting a business, or doing anything in a business, chances are, depending on where you are, there's only one thing you actually need to do, or there's only one part of the business you actually need to grow to get to where you want to go to. So for instance, if we want to speak about what we do, Airbnb businesses, right? So we run Airbnbs, and there's only really like 3 parts to an Airbnb business. Number 1, find properties. Number 2, secure properties. And number 3, run the properties as Airbnbs. Like there's only 3 parts of it. So depending on what your goals are, you just need to do what's necessary. So for instance, part 1, if you want to secure your first Airbnb, you don't need to be focused on sitting down and learning how to run an Airbnb business and how to actually like get long-term bookings. That doesn't matter to you. That literally isn't relevant. It is actually counterproductive to sit there and learn that. If you're doing 4 hours of deep focus work in the morning, it should be on strictly getting units, right? So how does that actually look? You're basically creating a shortlist of every single possible unit that could be any possible property on the market, which could become a unit and could become something that you run as a short-term rental. You're contacting these people, you're calling them, you're sending them emails, you're logging these emails and stuff like that. You need to be doing strictly needle pushing activities. That's what it's called. Every time you're doing something, ask yourself, is this needle pushing? And if it isn't, don't waste your time doing it, because you're just being busy, you're not being productive, right? You're not in this game because you want to have like a notebook that's completely full. You want to be like not going to parties and not going to things that you want. You don't want to avoid doing things that you don't want to do just for doing work which doesn't actually do anything for you. Like, be productive, don't just be busy, right? And the way that you be productive is by needle pushing activities. That's a simple way. So I could even relate it to another business if you want. So let's say you're a coach online and you're a fitness coach, right? So you spent a lot of years, you got an amazing physique, and you now want to coach people on how to do the same for themselves. What should you do? What's actually needle pushing? So firstly, define your problems, and then once you define them, create the solutions. You should always work backwards. The reason people get flustered is because they look at business as one giant entity and they think they need to tackle it all at once. That makes no sense. It literally makes no logical sense at all. If you approach life that way, you're always going to be confused and you're always going to be stagnant. You have to break it down into tiny goals and tiny tasks to get those goals. So if you're that same fitness trainer and you want to be a fitness trainer, what do you need to do? First thing, set up a page which shows that you're a fitness trainer, right? Get content out there. That's probably the first step. Secondly, once your content is there, you then need to find clients who will pay you, and step 3, coach them. So because that's your 3 steps, you obviously need to do step 1 before you do step 2, and then step 2 before step 3. So number 1, you create a page, you spend that 4 hours creating your page, creating content, making sure you look legit, right? And then as soon as that's done, the next day, okay, cool, step 1's done. Now I need to focus on getting clients. What do you do for the first 4 hours? You send 100 DMs out to people, right, who are interested in fitness and stuff like that, and you wait for them to respond, and you speak to them. Like, it's pretty simple if you actually break it down. The reason that you're confused and the reason that your head is in a bit of disarray, because I was exactly the same. I was entirely the same, which is why this video is being made. We are simply extracting the thoughts, like, it's from discussions that we have. We think, okay, what has changed in business from before and what has changed now? What do we understand now that we didn't understand before? And the stuff that we didn't understand before, we explain in these videos. So when you don't know what to do, think about what you want to achieve, and then what you want to do will basically be quite evident, right? So if you're in Airbnb and you feel like, you're sitting there with free time, you're like, I don't know what to do, I want properties. It's just like, okay, fine. Think about more ways that you can reach out to landlords. Think about more different avenues to find landlords. Do you know what I mean? It's a matter of, as he said, focus a lot more on the inputs as opposed to the outputs, and the work will just present itself, okay? The output is simply like a destination. The input is every single step you take, which is way more important. So focus on that. It's very, very crucial. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Not really. The main thing I want to take from I want you to take from that, is to work backwards, and number 2, be productive, not busy. That's one of the main things. I fall in the same thing. I like to feel busy. I like to do random tasks which are irrelevant. Sometimes I find myself doing them, but you need to basically stop that. I think work has a job has coded you to do that, because it definitely coded me to do that as well, to just do something for the whole 8 hours. That's not the case. Do whatever's actually taking you closer to your goals. That's all you need to do. Anything else is you're just doing it because you feel like it's work, but it's just you're literally wasting your time. As bad as it is, you're wasting your time, right? But yeah, hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you made notes, and hopefully you actually find it very useful. And you take the points and you put it into your own life, and you find success with these. Anyway, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.